I challenged myself to journal for 30 minutes a day for a week, and here's what I learned. Before I go into what I learned and what the experience was like, I thought I would give a little bit of context on what inspired me to do this little challenge. I am essentially at what I have decided to call a transition phase in my life. I am 24. I quit full-time work a year ago. I've been freelancing in the creative industry for the past year, and I have just been feeling really lost with what I want to do with my life and not enjoying my work like I used to. I've actually wrapped up a lot of the work that I was doing, and I'm kind of deciding where I want to take my career next. And everybody always says that journaling and practicing gratitude daily is a good way to center yourself, and I just find it really hard to motivate myself to actually do this. So I set myself a bit of a challenge and decided to vlog it for accountability, and I actually did journal every day for half an hour, and this is how it went. I thought it would be a good idea to begin this video by reading you what I wrote in my journal on my very first day of this challenge. So here we go. Today is day 1 of journaling for 30 minutes daily for 7 days. Why am I doing this? I want to be a writer. I don't know where to begin. This feels like a start, a flex of the muscle, a tentative testing flex of a stiff muscle that hasn't been used in a long time. Clarity. I have made intuitive decisions so far this year, coming back to myself and my creativity. I was inspired to make these changes after a very honest journal entry reflecting on what I really want in/out of life. Taking time to continue writing and reflecting will help guide and shape this new path I am on. Purpose and routine. In this in-between chapter where I have lots of time and little agenda, having a daily productive ritual will help energy flow. And then I went on to gratitude and I reflected on some things to be grateful for, and this was really centering for me. Something else I noticed on this first day of journaling is that I actually get into a flow state when I journal and when I write. If you don't know what a flow state is, I'm going to read a definition. This is from Headspace. Flow state is the sense of fluidity between your body and mind where you are totally absorbed by and deeply focused on something beyond the point of distraction. Time feels like it has slowed down. Your senses are heightened. You are at one with the task at hand as action and awareness sync to create an effortless momentum. Some people get this from going for a run. They hit a point in their run where they realize that they are in a flow state. It can happen when you're organizing something like cleaning, and then you suddenly realize that you're enjoying it, you're really focused. For me, it's when I'm writing, and I love that feeling. So this was a really nice reminder for me that this is a way for me to access my flow state. Go into some of the challenges that I felt journaling daily. So my next 3 days I really procrastinated it, and I just didn't want to journal, and if I wasn't filming this video I wouldn't have done it. I had nothing to write, and reading back on it now, it was basically just a reflection of my day. So I wrote, I did this, I did this, I did that, and it didn't really do anything for me. I know some people like to journal in that way, more of documenting their life. For me, journaling is a way to be introspective and reflective and creative. I guess what I have learned from that is, one, it is really important to journal earlier on in the day and even take myself out of the house to do it, because I think your environment, or for me anyway, can be really important. Making an activity out of it, going to a park or somewhere nice to focus. But 2, I don't need to force myself to journal. It's not a task that needs to be forced. Yes, it's beneficial, but it's only beneficial if if you want to do it. And so I forced myself for the sake of this video. However, I don't actually believe that you need to journal daily to benefit from it. I really don't. I think it's okay for something that is so personal and introspective to be on your own time, and it doesn't have to be one of those tasks that you add to your life that becomes something that you feel bad about when you don't do. I just don't believe in that. I am walking back to the park that I went to on my first day of journaling because that was the best journaling experience I've had so far. I'm in the park now. The other day you would have seen I went to a cafe with Kai, which was very cute, very aesthetic. It was a really nice vibe, but I couldn't really completely zone out and be comfortable just being in my own space, being in that environment. I think I'm gonna try go to a cafe again, but just go by myself and maybe a little bit of a quieter cafe, because I do love a cafe vibe. Today I'm back in the park in nature. I'm gonna set my timer for half an hour, give it another go and see what kind of vibe I tap into, and hopefully it's really nice. Talk about gratitude. Gratitude and journaling go hand in hand. I know some people have a specific gratitude journal that they use just for that. I like to just do it all at the same time, and something I noticed when I was journaling is I would keep coming back to gratitude, and I would end up writing a list of things I'm grateful for or a reflection on gratitude. This might be because I have tried to enforce this habit in the past, so it almost was instinct that when I have pen to paper I'm going to start listing things I'm grateful for. However, I did find that practice really beautiful, and I also noticed within myself that I wouldn't have taken that time to reflect on feeling grateful if I didn't have my journal in front of me, so it did lead me to be more grateful. And if you were wondering about the benefits of gratitude, here is a little bit of research that I found that I have also heard quoted before that inspired me to focus more on gratitude in my life. And I will link this down below if you want to read the entire article, because it does go into a lot more detail. Essentially, there were 2 psychologists who did 2 studies, and the one that I want to talk about is the one where they asked everybody to write a few sentences each week, focusing on particular topics. So one group wrote about things that they were grateful for that had occurred during the week. The second group wrote about daily irritations, and the third group wrote about events that had affected them, with no emphasis on positive or negative. After 10 weeks, those who wrote about gratitude were more optimistic and felt better about their lives. Surprisingly, they also exercised more and had fewer trips to physicians than those who focused on sources of aggravation. Of course, studies such as this cannot prove cause and effect, but most of the studies published on this topic support an association between gratitude and an individual's well-being. Essentially, when you practice gratitude, you feel well. There are the benefits, but I believe it has to come from a place of real intention, and that's why I don't like to force it. Some days when I was doing this journaling exercise, it didn't feel as genuine, but on the days where I tapped into that flow state and I really wanted to write and I naturally felt grateful, I felt so good afterwards. Another benefit that I noticed from journaling every day was that it kept me coming back to my motivation and the things that I wanted to improve about myself. I am always on a journey of self-improvement, and I know the areas that I want to work on and the things that I want to do, even simple things like I want to cook more meals for myself, or I want to start writing my novel again. And I know that these are things that I want to do, but I can become very disconnected from them. And I noticed that every time I was journaling, it was like the little voice in me that wants to do those things was having its moment. And I was writing about, oh, I want to do this and I want to feel like this. And it centered me back to my goals and the things that I want to work on. And it reminded me what I want to achieve and why. So I would say that journaling can be a very powerful tool if you struggle with motivation or what's the other word that starts with D? Discipline. I don't actually view myself as a very disciplined person. I find it hard to do things for the sake of it or because I've committed to it. I like to do things when I feel like doing them. I think we all do that, and everyone has a different relationship with discipline. But for me, coming back to my why and constantly having these conversations with myself, it gives me that feeling again and that purpose and that motivation. And then when I'm working on my goals, I'm doing it intuitively because I want to, and it keeps the meaning to it. Let's wrap this up by me sharing whether I believe that journaling for 30 minutes every day is worthwhile. Yes and no. Doing this challenge and journaling every day for a week taught me so much, and I feel like it has kickstarted me into the relationship that I now want to have journaling, which is much more intuitive and not forced. However, I don't think I would have had all of these realizations about myself and felt reconnected to myself and to journaling if I hadn't done this challenge. So if you are somebody who likes to journal but you are struggling to find the motivation to do it, I actually would recommend doing this challenge and forcing yourself to write in your journal every day for a week. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes, it could be 15, whatever feels natural to you. But I do think there was benefits in carrying out this challenge, and what I want to take from it is making the time to fit journaling into my life and to ritualize it, to take myself to a beautiful park or to a cafe that is quiet and cozy when I'm by myself, to a library, giving myself the space and time to connect with myself in this way. And I also just wanted to say, for anybody who may have somehow got to the end of this video but you don't actually like journaling, there are so many other ways to connect with yourself and access your flow state and your creativity and your gratitude. I love writing. I want to be a writer, so journaling comes really naturally for me. However, you might prefer to voice memo yourself, talk to yourself and record it. You may like to go for a run or exercise. My partner plays the piano, and I can see that that puts him into a flow state and is really meditative. So you could definitely adapt this challenge to a different task, like drawing for 30 minutes every day. If you journal yourself and you have any thoughts or you want to try a challenge like this, let me know in the comments. I would love to chat all things journaling, mindfulness, gratitude. So yeah, let me know.